up, guidance converged.
I'm sure I don't have to tell you about the recent Artemis 2 mission flying around the moon, being the furthest humans have ever travelled from Earth, and being the crucial first crewed mission of the Artemis program. The first real step on the road to a moon colony. And of course, the mission marks humanity's official return to the moon. Well shit NASA, it's about damn time. Just a few days ago, after taking some great pictures and gathering a ton of science points, the 4 astronauts safely returned to Earth after 10 days in deep space. Yet, while watching this, I remembered an absolute gem of a video I made just over 3 years ago. Essentially, it was me doing Artemis 1, but better in KSP. To save you from the experience of watching through this, why is it so low quality? Basically, to summarise, the main improvements were the reusable core stage, this weird dragon capsule style abort system thing, and I suppose the fact that it was crewed and could actually land on the surface of the Mun and return to Kerbal.
Touchdown on the surface of the moon. Well, I guess the Mun, because it's Kerbal space program.
But let's be real, this is pretty lame. So this time around, we're taking it up a notch. First of all, we're going to be using the JNSQ mod, which basically rescales all the planets in the Kerbal system from about 1/10 to 1/4 of their size of their real-life counterparts. Our only rule for this mission is that we must obviously vastly exceed the achievements of Artemis 2, and we're only allowed to use existing rocket technology. What's cooler than going to the moon? Well, obviously going to Mars.
It's a god-awful small affair to the girl with the mousy hair, but her mummy is yelling no, and her daddy has told her to go, but her friend is nowhere to be seen. Now she walks through her sunken dream to the seat with the clearest view, and she's hooked to the silver screen. But the film is a sad thing for she's missed it 10 times or more. She could spit in the eyes of fools as they ask her to focus on sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, look at those cavemen go. It's the freakiest show. Take a look at the long man beating up the wrong guy.
The mission begins with the launch of the SLS Block 1, identical to the configuration used on Artemis 2, except at stock scale. As the rocket is functioning as intended, it is obvious that the rocket was not designed by me, and is instead part of the Artemis construction kit, which I have linked in the description. The Orion capsule and the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, or ICPS, now sit in low Earth orbit. Now obviously the spacecraft doesn't have the fuel to get to Juno, the Kerbal Mars analog, so we're going to need a helping hand. I present to you perhaps the single worst rocket conceived by man, the Starship Heavy.
From Ibiza to the Northern Broads, Britannia is out of bounds. To my mother, my dog and clowns, but the film is a sad thing for, 'cause I wrote it 10 times or more. It's about to be written again, as I ask you to focus on sailors fighting in the dance hall. Oh man, look at those cavemen.
The craft contains the version 2 Starship N booster, with an Orion docking port awkwardly attached on top, surrounded by tanks and nose cones from the old Starship prototypes. Now this is meant for stock KSP, so considering the rescale with JNSQ, and the fact that the ship needs to haul Orion to Mars, we need a little more power. More specifically, 165 Raptor 2 engines. Absurd? Absolutely. But remember, all the technology on this abomination currently exists. As you can see here, we now finally have the ship in orbit. Now, I went through the hassle of getting the two spacecraft close enough to dock, just to find out the docking port on Starship wasn't compatible, and there was absolutely no way I was attempting to launch another Starship Heavy, so instead, I made a new ship with an Orion-compatible docking port, and simply teleported it to orbit. Obviously, this would have been completely possible without cheats, I just couldn't be bothered. We do have a little extra fuel in the ship than we would have had otherwise, though, so I'm going to have to drop it off early to keep it relatively fair. With the two spacecraft docked, similar to what will happen on Artemis 3, it's now time to head off for Juno.
Didn't know what time it was, the lights were low, I leaned back.
With the Starship burning all the fuel it would have had if I didn't cheat it up into orbit, we can detach it and use the ICPS and Orion to complete the burn, using a couple of passes for efficiency. With the crew now bound for Juno, we end up unintentionally recreating a lot of the pictures taken on the actual mission.
Wave of face, that weren't no DJ, that was hazy cosmic jive. There's a starman waiting in the sky. He'd like to...
A pretty long time later, and we're finally coming up on Juno, doing some final course corrections for a very fast atmospheric entry. The Orion capsule detaches from the service module, entering Juno's atmosphere as the service module overheats and explodes in an uncomfortably close proximity. Despite the high velocity, atmospheric entry isn't very violent due to the thin atmosphere, being similar to that of Mars. Now, thin atmosphere, that is something I didn't quite think about. You know how when we send stuff to Mars we don't just use parachutes, like we use those sky crane mechanisms or whatever this is? Well, that's because parachutes aren't very effective at slowing craft down on Mars fully because of the thin atmosphere. Earth's atmosphere is thicker, plus Orion lands in the ocean so it can get away with just parachutes there. But here, well, that's a different story. As you can see here, the drogue chutes do fully deploy, but there literally isn't enough air for the main chutes to even deploy at all. As a result, the capsule comes in relatively quickly, leading to a rapid unscheduled disassembly. Okay, so this is a clear problem. Luckily, however, I came up with a genius solution. You see, all 4 Kerbals are actually equipped with their own personal parachutes. You can probably see where this is going. Getting all 4 Kerbals to land safely took, well, a lot of trial and error, yet eventually I managed to get all of them safely onto the surface of Juno, unfortunately kilometers away. So after a lot of walking, the Kerbals could finally get together and plant the flag. Once again, 3 years later, I had put NASA to shame. Aside from the complications of surviving in the Orion capsule for more than 6 months, as well as no way to get back to Earth, we basically improved on the Artemis 2 mission in basically every single way. Although I do feel obligated to rescue these guys at some point. Anyway, I know I haven't uploaded in a very long time, but I should be back to making videos now, and I hope you enjoyed the video.
So yeah, see you guys next time.